Welcome back. I'm Jeff from Today's Craftsman. We're here at IWF 2024 in Atlanta, Georgia. Here with Professor STRIEBIG, Dave Bull from Colonial Saw. So you guys have seen our 5x10 compact STRIEBIG vertical panel saw that we have in the shop. We're here next to another compact. This is a 5x15. 5x15. So we wanted to show you a couple of the different STRIEBIG saws that they have here. So going from the most basic here to something really cool over here. So tell us a little bit about this saw, Dave.
So as Jeff mentioned, this is a 5x15. We refer to this saw as the Compact Plus. The extra 5 feet of cutting length can provide some working advantages, but we also include as standard features on the saw the digital measuring for doing the horizontal cuts. So this scale is a digital reading of what I see here on my tape measures for setting my horizontal cuts. So it will again measure from the rollers on the bottom, or the center shelf, or from the top down. You have that on your current saw,
yep.
But we included a standard feature on the Compact Plus.
Okay.
Some of the other advantages of the longer length, obviously the ability to cut something longer than 10 feet.
Yep.
Countertop material, for example, typically comes in 12-foot blanks. So great for countertops and things like that. A couple other working advantages though. The main cutting station is here in the middle of the saw. So I've got about 40 inches more measuring room over here to the left.
So you can pull pieces over as you...
Yeah, before I have to worry about unlocking the beam and moving it down to the right and adding those 40 inches, okay? The other nice advantage of the Compact Plus is that the center shelf here, if I move that panel out of the way a little bit, the center shelf is a 60-40 split center shelf. So I can cut off part of the sheet, process that part on my center shelf if I choose to, with the rest of the sheet still on the saw. On your saw, the smaller one, it's a single piece center shelf running the whole length, and I'd have to kind of take the rest of that sheet off if I wanted to process that small part on the center shelf temporarily. So here I can just put that away and roll the rest of the sheet back into play. So
would you say that this is the most common STRIEBIG that you sell?
It's about equal, the Compacts and the Compact Pluses, but I do kind of think that this one is maybe the more bang for the buck. It's very little bit more, including the digital measuring and 5 more feet of saw.
Yep. So. Can you tell us a little bit about this? Or not yet?
Yo, sure we can now. This is our new ACS automatic crosscut stop. So previously only available on STRIEBIGs on the fully automatic control model. This can now be outfitted to compacts as long as they're not the original version of the compacts, the TRKs from 99 to 2004. If it's 2004 and newer, this will fit on your saw.
Okay.
And this can help you cut more parts in a day because you're sitting very accurately. So it's got digital accuracy, but speed as well.
And this is something that you guys at Colonial Saw developed.
It is specifically for the STRIEBIGs. We've had a lot of demand for it. You know, gosh, my saw would be even that much better if I could just move that stop automatically. And so very simple to use. It mounts very easily also. The holes under the control panel are already there for this bracket to mount onto. All I simply do is touch the keypad and hit enter to have the stop go to a dimension. It is designed to operate in inches, and I've got fractional hotkeys here. Sorry, Eric, I keep moving the camera around on you. So if I want, 56¼ inches, I can just hit 56, and there's the quarter hotkey button.
That's cool.
Which also acts essentially as the enter button, because of course the fraction is the last thing you enter. You'll see that there are 2 rows of fractions on each key. If you hit it a second time, it will go to the the bottom row fraction. So if I wanted really
like old school text messaging.
exactly. If I wanted the 3/16 measurement, I could still hit it again, and it went to 56 and 13/16. I can even get down to 30 seconds with the plus and the minus key here.
Cool.
So I can add a 30 second here. There's 56 and 7/30 seconds.
Wow.
And I simply roll the panel up. It's a very robust flip stop here.
Yeah.
Again, with the
nice and long.
Yep. The ability to measure those small parts, which even our digital measuring stop doesn't have.
Yep.
So, and it will of course fold out of the way, so it can slide right by a panel. But easily installable. There's just four clips behind here that clamp onto the rail here, and then just some wiring to run over to the behind the saw and down to the controller, and that's really it.
Wow. Very cool. So we looked at the compact. What's the next saw that we can take a look at?
Well, the next saw up, there's a couple of standard models that we don't have here, but the one behind me here is essentially one of our new standard S models with lifters. That's the Edition 60 model. We'll talk about that next.
All right, let's take a look. All right, so Dave, we're here at the next STRIEBIG. We just looked at the compact.
Yep.
What is this, and what's the difference between this and the compact?
Well, there's quite a bit of difference between this and the compact, Jeff. This is our Edition 60 panel saw. The primary feature of this saw is the panel lifters here. To begin with, it is a bigger, heavier, beefier machine with larger horsepower, larger blade, larger depth of cut, a bigger frame size. This one actually only comes one frame size, and it's this full size.
So what's
frame.
this full height and width?
So it will cut a little over 7 feet tall, cross cut, and in length about 17'4".
Wow. So those are like those European full-size sheets.
Exactly. It's designed around those sheets, and the advantage of the lifters is that it can help you process larger panels or multiple panels, because those grippers there can hold up to 3 3/4-inch panels, as long as they're only about 4x8 sheets to begin with. If we're talking 5x9s like this one here, or the big 7-foot by 9-foot panels, the European-sized panels, only 2 at a time, max. The idea behind the lifters really is that with these big, heavy panels, we can process the entire sheet from the bottom without having to take parts off the saw and then put them back on the saw again. So basically we'll trim the bottom edge of the panel, let it back down on the rollers, cut a width that we want to work with off the bottom. The rest of the sheet still remains suspended in the clamps, and we process that bottom strip until it's finished. All completed parts. We lower the panel down again, cut another strip from the bottom, process that strip until it's done, et cetera, until the sheet is finished.
So that's why you have all that width. So you can take a 5x9, take a piece out of the bottom, and then you can move down here to this area of the saw and start to cross cut it.
So we're processing the sheet along the bottom, which is why we have a lower measuring rail down there.
Yep.
Where we can have the digital measuring stop. The saw is going to come with at least one digital measuring stop, which you could have on either level. But if you are going to process those sheets on the bottom, you'd probably want it along the bottom.
Yep.
But the operator is really taking off finished parts there, one at a time off the bottom, while the sheet never comes off the panel. And as we do these horizontal rip cuts, we never have to worry about holding the panel up or putting a wedge in the cut. The clamps are taking care of all that. Yeah.
Can you show us it lifting a sheet?
Sure, let's do that. There are lots of safety features built into this. Once we have to deal with the clamps, there's all sorts of safeties to keep anybody from putting a hand in the way of the clamp, or from the saw dropping a large piece as it's suspended down on the rollers.
Yep.
So the first thing about operating the clamps is it's a two-handed affair, so for safety reasons. So I have to press the button here, the clamp button. When it flashes like that, it says I'm ready to come down and grab the panel. And let's try it again. There we go. I have to hold it until the lights on the front of the clamps turn solid green, which they are now. Now I can lift that panel. It will lift it a specific amount off the rollers to be a trim dimension, okay? So from here, the saw has a laser line to guide me to a trim cut. If I just want to eyeball the cut, the laser line only comes on once I start the motor. So there we see it. And I can simply go down here and say, okay, I want to trim that much off the board. I clamp it. I make my trim cut. Oh, come on, really? Now I can lower that down onto the roller. Again, the lights have to turn solid green, right? Flashing is while they're in motion. Now my digital measuring, which is included on the saw. From there, I can set my strip width that I want.
Right.
If I want a 1 foot strip. And it's got pneumatic clamping of the carriage,
wow.
so no kip handle to turn. And then fine adjustment. I'm out of mechanical adjustment, of course. There we go.
That's pretty cool.
A 1 foot strip, and then I would cut that strip. It'll be still suspended by the clamps, so the 1 foot strip can roll easily back and forth along the rollers while I measure it and slice and dice it from there.
So I see this has a 1 thou coarseness versus 5 on the compact.
It
Not
does.
that.
It does. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure we need to cut down to a thousandth of an inch in wood, but we do have the motorized fine adjustment, so I'm not having to tap the motor up and down to get where I want. So,
what is this here?
That is simply a handle to help you pull the saw head down if you're making a very tall vertical cut. So,
Show us.
sure. So pivoting the saw head, very similar to the compact, but if I was locked into a station here and trying to make a large vertical cut, number one, that hook up there is going to pull the saw head in. So all I have to do is use the stick and push the saw head in and pull it down until I can manage the saw. So.
And we have what, six vertical cutting stations on this saw.
Right.
And they're the same 40 inches.
They are not. They are actually on metric, 1 meter centers, but the digital measuring will take care of it.
Yeah, there's less.
You're never doing the math as if you were using an analog station.
Wow, that's cool. So we have one more STRIEBIG to look at after this, right?
Yep, we do.
With even more tech, so let's take a look at that one.
Okay.
So we looked at the Compact Plus, the Edition 60, and now we're in front of the Control.
Control, automatic saw, yes.
Okay, so this is like the fully automated, sort of hands-off panel saw.
Yeah, to a large extent. Believe it or not, we even have a model above this one, but this is our primary selling automatic panel saw. Travels automatically in both directions, both vertically and horizontally. It is full featured. It is going to have digital measuring as standard equipment in the x-axis. The upgrade to that we see on this saw is STRIEBIG's version of the motorized stop.
Right.
They refer to it as the EPS, Electronic Positioning System. In the Y-axis, that's already included on the base saw. So EPS-Y is included, meaning that if I want to set a dimension to make a horizontal rip cut, there's how we pivot from horizontal to vertical.
That's cool.
Just at
So
the
no more accidentally releasing the head.
Yeah, no, you're not. Yeah, you're not having to manually pivot the saw head ever.
See, it tells us what cutting station we're in.
A pictogram there tells us where the cutting stations are. If I wanted to go to cut station number 4, I could just press it. The blue start button flashes on either the saw head or the control panel. I can tell it to go to cut station 4.
Okay.
At that point, if I tried to set a measurement for my measuring stop, I touch the measurement box, a keypad pops up, and at the top of that keypad, it gives me the usable range of that stop from this station. So about 40 inches to 126 inches from this station.
Right.
If I moved over to my main cut station number 3, it's going to be a different range, 0 essentially to 80 some inches.
Yep.
So
Are these like some stored common dimensions?
that's exactly right. 2 columns. These are the last entered dimensions that we've entered, and these are the list of intentionally saved dimensions. Right. We have something that we want to do all the time.
24.
Exactly. We can, obviously, it's blank now. It's a brand new saw. We haven't stored any dimensions in there yet. But so if we escape here and go back to horizontal cutting. Now, if we want to set a measuring dimension for the horizontal cut, again, I touch the dimension box, my keypad pops up, I enter a dimension, and the saw simply goes there. And it will run automatically. I can push the saw back to my starting position, or if I really didn't want to do any work, I can have it travel automatically back and stop it when it gets to the beginning of the panel.
Moves pretty quick.
Yeah, especially in the return feed. It's going to return at maximum speed, which is about 82 feet a minute.
And I guess you know that, so when this plunges in and it makes the cut, it's making that cut at sort of the optimal speed versus feeding it by hand.
Well, yes, but you choose what that optimal speed is.
Okay, depending on your material, your blade.
Exactly, or perhaps how many sheets you're trying to cut through at a time, the density of that material. You guys know how fast.
You could be cutting ultralight MDF or solid wood,
and what kind of finish you need on that. So
safe to assume that this, and I'm assuming the other 2 saws we looked at have a scoring unit as well.
A scoring unit option. Yes, and it is essentially the same scoring unit on every saw with the same choice of blades. They're all split blades, either with shims to set the overall width, or the infinitely adjustable
conical.
The T-handle, not conical. It's got a wavy spring washer in between the 2 split blades with a very fine thread screw, and we turn it in and out with the T-handle wrench. So much faster on the setup there.
Yeah.
And then the third choice there is that arrangement in diamond tip saw blade. So, and that's true from the compact all the way through the control.
So we were talking, the Edition 60 has the panel lifters, but this is also offered with either a panel lifter or...
On this saw, we have the option called the 4SB, or 4-sided board, to trim the bottom edge of the panel with a series of vacuum pods along the bottom and 2 panel lifters between 2 of the rollers that will lift the panel up about the same amount as we did over there on the Edition 60. The vacuum pods come forward automatically, the vacuum pump turns on automatically. It holds that panel in place so we can trim that bottom edge. The lifters come back up and gently lower that panel back onto the rollers. Now we have a perfectly straight edge on the bottom, and we can choose to cut that panel vertically or horizontally.
Yep.
To divide it up. Without the 4SB, we are almost certainly going to process that panel, with strips from the top.
Yep.
But this can be a screen to machine also.
So what does that mean? I was going to ask, what do we have going on down here?
That's the label printer that's part of the Expert Cut optimization package.
Mm-hmm.
That package it includes both hardware and software. It includes the motorized EPS-X stop, the label printer, and the software to optimize your cut plan. And no matter what design software you use, whether it's Cabinet Vision or Mosaic or any of the software packages out there, as long as that software package can produce a cut list in a CSV file format, we can import that CSV file into the STRIEBIG optimization software. It needs to do the optimizing.
Right.
Okay, your software, we can't run the saw from your optimized plan. We'll do the optimizing because the STRIEBIG software knows how that cut plan should be optimized for a vertical panel saw. So we optimize it, and when you do that, this saw is connected to the same server that the office who designed the kitchen or whatever and made the cut list stores it on a server, and the operator calls it up, the job up from the server here, pulls it up on the screen, and when he starts to follow that cut plan, the saw goes into the cutting position automatically.
Wow.
So he doesn't even need to tell it where to go or how to set up the cut. It's going to do that completely automatically, and all he does is press the go button at that point.
It'll make a cut. They can move the part if they need to, then you just hit it again.
Hit the next button. The blue start button will start to flash to tell him to go to the next position. Does that, waits for him to say go again until he's taken off.
And after each part is cut, it'll spit out a label.
It'll spit out a label if you so choose.
Right.
Yeah. And,
wow.
And that label can be custom made to have any information you want about that part on it.
Yeah, where you get edge banding,
where your edge banding
the room,
goes.
the cabinet number.
Exactly.
Wow.
All that information. So it is
Very
truly
cool.
a vertical beam saw, if you will.
Yep.
But we can do screen to machine. So if you have parts that really don't absolutely need to be cut on your CNC router, they're just plain rectangular parts or smaller parts that the CNC router doesn't do well, take them out of the mix, put them on a separate cut list, and bring them over to the STRIEBIG panel saw.
Yeah. And the footprint is, so this is, say, what, 18 feet by 3 feet?
Yeah. 3 feet with the frame, and about 5.5, 6 feet out to the frame. Again, in the taller size to be able to handle the tall European sheets, but they don't have to be this tall. Mm-hmm. We can have it the same height as the Compact Plus.
Oh wow!
So, this is our Cadillac. This is one of our main selling automatic machines.
So we saw the Compact, the Edition 60, and the Control.
Yep.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we upgrade from the Compact? I don't know if this would actually fit in the shop.
Again, it doesn't need to be this tall.
That's true.
Give you the shorter one.
But yeah, I mean, I'm super happy to see these machines. We've talked about them before, but seeing them in the flesh, seeing something that runs all by itself that's like one of the coolest things about IWF is that you get to see all of these highly technical machines that you don't get to see in person. I don't get to travel to big shops all the time to see these different machines, so having them under one roof is really cool. But I gotta thank you, Dave. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely, Jeff. Thank you.
And if you want to learn more, check out Colonial Saw. They're the exclusive dealer for STRIEBIG, so if you want to get them, you gotta talk to these guys. They really are, the best vertical panel saw. We love ours, so see you next week. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Thanks for watching.